Solution selling was coined by Michael Bosworth, who documented and analyzed the behaviors of top sellers at Xerox. His 1994 book, Solution Selling: Creating Buyers in Difficult Selling Markets, outlines everything he learned at Xerox, as well as his company, Solution Selling. One of his main arguments is that conventional sales techniques don't work when products and services are hard to describe, intangible, expensive, and have long sales cycles. Bosworth argues that conventional sales techniques can even hinder the success of a sales altogether. Solution selling is a process to take the guesswork out of the difficult to sell, intangible products and services. It's a step-by-step system that ensures a higher rate of success for salespeople and a higher probability that the buyer's expectations will be met. So let's walk through the stages of solution selling so you can get a grasp on how the methodology works. Solution-based selling is a practical approach to sales that can be broken into 6 steps. The first step is knowing the ins and outs of the product and service. The second is identifying prospect pain points. Next is starting the selling process through questions. The fourth step is education process. The fifth step is providing value, and then finally, the last step is closing the sale. As you can tell, with the solution sales technique, to close deals, you must go beyond talking about features and price points. You need to create a genuine connection with your prospect by pinpointing the prospect's real-world problem and explaining how your product can solve it in the best way possible. To accomplish this, there must be 2 variables in the selling process: customization and integration. For this, it's essential that you build distinctive solutions and value propositions. Price solutions are on the total business value you're presenting and not just the flashy features. It's also essential that you align the entire company with the solution and give an end-to-end sales experience, controlling every aspect of the negotiation. Despite being one of the more straightforward selling methodologies, there are still elements you must master in order to implement solution selling successfully. So let's take a closer look at the steps laid out earlier and see how you can incorporate them into your solution selling strategy. First, knowing the ins and outs of the product and service. Without an in-depth knowledge of every product and service your company offers, you'll be selling blind. More importantly, it will be impossible for you to know what product or service is the best fit for the prospect's pain points. We recommend making an online knowledge base so comprehensive that you and your team can find everything you need to know from reading it. Next, identifying prospect pain points. Once you all know your products inside out, make sure you do research on prospect before picking up the phone. This isn't telemarketing. You should already have a rough understanding of what problems a prospect might be having before talking to them. Target prospects using a customer persona. Look back through deals you've already closed with your prospects that match your target customer persona to find some similarities in the pain points they were experiencing, and then prepare a rough plan to solve them. Next, you'll need to perfect selling questions. The next part of solution sales is arming your team with the ideal selling questions. The right questions allow you to identify a prospect's problems quickly, develop a relationship with them, and ultimately convert them. Start with open-ended questions like, why isn't your solution working for you right now? What's holding you back from reaching your goals or revenue target? Or, how has your problem progressed to where it is? Once the conversation is flowing, ask them more specific questions such as, how do you envision your company growing over the next 12 months? How will your needs change for you to get there? What solution are you currently using to address your problem? Is that solution helping you to achieve your objective? Or why are you seeking out a different solution for your problem? Start qualifying the prospect. A quick checklist should help you decide whether a prospect is worth pursuing or if your product isn't the best fit. A list could be as simple as, does your product or solution actually solve their pain points? What needs are you addressing with your solution? And will they solve the problem successfully? And does the prospect's company align with the product or need fit? Moving on to the next step, the education process. It's here where the solution selling methodologies start to diverge from the conventional sales methodology. You need to give the prospect a definite light bulb reason why they need your product or service. Connect the dots between their problem and your company's solution using a clear selling point like a reduction in operating costs, an example of ROI backed up with a customer case study, and the amount of money they will save compared to their current solution. Next, choose a selling point and build a narrative around it. Let's say you want to highlight how your company's product will provide an ROI for the customer. Ask the prospect, how would implementing these changes affect your competitiveness in the market? If you don't solve the problem, what kind of difficulties will you face going forward? Or, what is likely to happen to your revenue numbers if you don't solve the problem? Next is the fifth step, providing ample value. One of the main reasons solution selling succeeds is that it revolves around a definite selling point. Pick a selling point that will resonate with your prospect and ultimately demonstrate your product's value through it. Instead of focusing on your product features or services, you'll be highlighting how your company's solution will make their problem disappear. You could look through deals you've already closed again and draw parallels from current customers to the prospect you're trying to close. Some questions to ask yourself to hammer this point home could be, what impact could your product or service have on the prospect's budget? Highlighting what could the prospect use that money for instead. Could the company's product or service save the prospect time? Getting into specifics about how time equals money for the prospect and their business. What could your product or service achieve for the prospect on an emotional level? Will it make them look good in front of their boss? Will it help them to be viewed as important or useful to their team? Remember, prospects are drawn to products that show both personal as well as business value. Painting a vivid picture here helps the prospect to imagine a future with your business. Once the value has been highlighted, all that's left to do is the final step, closing the sale. Now, you will likely come up against some sales objections from the prospect. The best way to overcome them is to compile a list of typical sales objections you've heard in the past and come up with a plan on how to debunk them. Look at previous lost opportunities, call transcripts, and emails from prospects with similar profiles and decipher why you couldn't overcome the objection before and what you should do differently with this prospect. You could even prepare a short list of 10 to 20 common objections or even go as far as creating a script. They might already be sold on the solution, or they may still need a little convincing. Whatever the situation is here, make sure you bring it back to why the prospect needs your product or service to solve their problem. Solution selling has paved the way for other selling approaches in the sales world, like spin selling, medic selling, and challenger selling. Want to learn more about different sales methodologies? Watch the video series on different sales methodologies or head over to our blog, where we've gotten more into detail on popular sales methodologies. Thanks for watching.